What's up, y'all? Welcome to the very first episode of Let Me Holla at You. I'm one of your hosts, your boy Trey.
And I'm Kautia, and together, we're
With
the Holloways.
Here to talk love, laughs, and real life.
Today, we're going to introduce ourselves so you guys can get to know us, of course. But then, what we really want to do is dive into a popular hashtag. Hashtag couple goals. Stay tuned.
And let me holla at you. Let's get into our first segment. So, who are the Holloways? So, in this segment, we want to kind of tell a little bit of our love story and how we got to know each other and what started the journey. Who do you want to go? You want me to go first, or do you want to go first?
I want to hear your side, because it's always funny hearing it from you first.
Okay. So, without getting too lengthy, I had kind of just gotten out of a relationship a few months prior. And so I was kind of really searching for myself.
It was like a year prior.
It wasn't a whole year. I'd say like a couple months. No, it was about. No, you're right. It was about a year. I think I'm sequencing that together like a lot faster. But anyway, so I had been single for a while and just kind of reinventing myself. Like kind of went on a journey of new self-discovery, and upon that, I was kind of feeling like I was ready for a relationship. I've always kind of been in a relationship as my dating history goes. And I almost feel more content in a relationship. And so, of course, in doing that, I didn't want to kind of go in the same direction that I did before. I kind of wanted to meet someone different and kind of go on another path. And within that, I had taken a trip. So really where this all starts is marching band. We're both like band nerds to the back. Well, I'm really a band nerd. She was the feature twirler, auxiliary nerd for sure. So it starts there. And of course within band, I was actually a music major at the time. And so I had just taken a music trip with my percussion studio. I'm a percussionist. And we went to Indianapolis to PASIC, which is like a big event. That was my first time going. So it was a really exciting trip to go on. And of course, upon going on that trip, I was with one of my really good friends now, Tristan. Shout out to my boy Tristan. And of course, we're there and we're just kind of, I'm talking to him like it's me, Tristan, and my other brother Theo. Shout out to my boy Theo.
All the shout outs.
Right. We were pretty much all in a hotel room together, and we were just kind of talking, and like we got to talking about it, and Tristan was encouraging me to kind of, not be, branch out, don't be afraid to talk to people. And of course in that process, he was just kind of asking me like whether there's anybody I was interested in, like in the band and things like that. And of course in talking around that, of course Kautia's name came up, and the first time when he brought her up I was like, yeah, I think she's very, very pretty. I've seen her before, I see her all the time, but she wouldn't talk to me. Like I don't seem like I would be her type at all. Of course at this time, just getting out of a relationship, a little insecure about some things still, and still kind of getting to know myself again in this new place that I was in, this new chapter I was in my life at that time. Had a lot of things going on the personal front of life and with family and things, but that's not what this segment is about, so we're not going to get into that. That'll come at a later date. So had a lot of things going on, so I'm still kind of down the low. He was like, hey, bro, he was like, you're a great guy. He's like, you're funny, you're smart, you're talented. He was like, it's not that you wouldn't be enough for her. He's like, bro, you're the catch, bro. You got to go in there and know that you're the catch and that she's getting a great guy. He was just like boosting me up, pumping me up or whatever. And so I'm just like, all right, cool. So we talk, we do the whole trip, and we come back. And then he was like, all right. And I was like, so how do I talk to her like that? Should I put her aside? He was like, bro, you just slide in her DMs, bro. And honestly, like with Tristan, we joke so much. There's so much banter. Like I almost say we have like a bromance thing going on. Like he's joking all the time. And so I still to this day, I've never asked him, don't know if he was literally joking or if he literally meant. But I think in this moment I took it literal. He's
maybe
like,
after
bro.
this episode he'll tell us, by the way, just saying.
Yeah, maybe I might text him and see what happens. Or maybe we'll bring him on and let him tell his version of it if he remembers it. I know that was a while ago. That was like years ago. But anyway, so so he's like, bro, just slide in her DMs, bro. And I was like, all right, okay. So in my brain, I'm like, bro, I can't just slide randomly into this girl's DM. I just said that I don't even think I'm a type. She won't even talk to me type. And okay, I'm gonna pause. right there though, real quick, because again, I'm trying to get through the story quick, but there's like little bits and pieces that'll make it make more sense as we go on. So, of course, within this, we take another trip, all right? This is a few months back with the band, right? We go to Monticello, Georgia. That's where my boy Tristan's from, okay? And so, of course, we're there. We do the whole band experience, and it's my birthday, literally on my birthday.
I knew you were going to bring this up.
And so, of course, we're there. Again, like, I think this is even before I went to Indianapolis, before I had that concentration. So, like, this is going way back before all that. So, the story is all over the place. But hold on, you're getting to know us. And that's a part of how my brain works. It just kind of, it hits when it hits, all right? So, you just got to just got to roll with me, all right? So, we're going back before all that stuff with Tristan. And we're in college, you know, we do the whole game or whatever, do the high school experience with them. Cool. And I think it's halftime, right? So I'm going to the concession stand. I'm going to get a burger.
Third quarter break.
Third quarter break, yeah. Yeah, pretty much that. So I'm going to get me a burger. That's my food. You know, I love burgers at games. Like, they just hit. I don't know what it is about it. I don't know if it's the game or the food, but it just hits. Anyway, going to get a burger and then crossing, you know, Kautia's walking this way, I'm walking this way. And this is my first interaction with her. This is before I got boosted up by Tristan. Again, it's my birthday. I'm feeling myself, you know, having a great day, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, hey, how are you? Kind of says, hey, and then kind of just like brushes me off type of thing. And then like completely like goes on her business like, well, damn. All right. So I just go on, do my thing, to whatever. Let it slip off of me. So fast forwarding now, you know, me and Tristan had this conversation. I'm coming back from Indianapolis, and
Slide in my DMs.
Right, he tells me to slide in the DMs, and of course that's my first interaction. I'm like, bro, she ain't gonna want to talk to me. That's why I said that. Now it's making sense. See, you're connecting the dots. So I slide in her DMs, right? Now the whole time before I do it, I'm like, I can't just randomly just slide in her DMs with a hey, you know, like that's creepy. I wouldn't respond to that. I don't think any girl would respond to that. And at this time, social media been around for a while, so creeps are very much prevalent. You know, they always have been, but they're very much prevalent online, especially when it comes to pretty girls in college. Anyway, so I happen to be scrolling. I see her post a picture, right? Of course, she looks very nice in the picture. And I want to say it was one of those, like, it was like one of those, it wasn't a thirst trap picture.
No, I can tell you what it was. It wasn't a thirst trap at all. I was in a whole sweater, and I did a little pose like this because I thought I looked really pretty in my face. It was nice and clear that day. My hair was done, and I was just like, hey. And that was the picture.
Okay, I might have been thinking of a different picture, all right? It was a long time ago.
Well, I don't know if it maybe looked like a thirst trap to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how it came across. But obviously for me, like, I was feeling myself. So I was like, I'm going to take a little selfie.
But she looked very pretty in the photo, all right? And so, of course, you know, me being a gentleman, because me personally, I always like to move in the process of a gentleman. I don't like to, you know, act like I'm Rico Suave. I don't even think of myself with that. I just told you, like, I had a whole issue with, like, insecurity and stuff, you know? So, like, I don't carry myself that way. I always try to go on the response of being, like, a very honorable man in that sense, especially when I that's how I like to portray myself, if I have a choice in how I'm seen in that moment. So, anyway, I slide and I'm like, hey, you look very beautiful. I don't think I said in this photo. I feel like that would have been weird. I think I just might have kept it simple just like that. Like,
no, I think you said, I think you're very pretty was the words or something like that.
Yes.
Hey, I just want to let you know, I think you're very pretty. It was something like that, but I knew it was the words, I think you're very pretty. Like, I remember very pretty.
Right. And, you know, like, that's just simple, plain, not laying it on too thick, you know, leaving it open. So that way, like, if she totally doesn't respond at all, like, she's not interested, it's not like I took a whole shot, you know what I'm saying? So I don't have to be super hurt because it's not like I put my whole business out there. I just gave her a compliment, you know. And then also, you know, simple response can come from that, you know what I'm saying? And a response, any response at all from a pretty girl online, especially when you know she's real. I seen her in person, I know she's real. So it's just like any response at all, I knew mentally that I was like, I'm kind of in there a little bit. All right. So, of course, I sent that. I don't think it was very long. I don't remember exactly, like, the time in between. I want to say, actually, it was, like, almost instant. She responded to it.
I waited, like, 10 minutes, I think.
She knows the exact time.
It was like 5 or 10 minutes. It was, like, long enough that it wasn't instant because I was like, he's going to be like, oh, that's weird. She, like, instantly replied. You know, because girls, we think of this.
I wouldn't have.
But, well,
I hate waiting forever for a response.
Well, that's why I didn't want to make you wait either because I'm also the same way. So I waited, like, 5 honestly, it was probably only 5. I say 5 to 10, but it was probably only like 5 minutes. But I wanted to give it a couple minutes to make it look like I could have been doing something, but I came back to respond. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. That reasonable amount of time. So she responded, and I don't remember exactly what she said, but from that moment on, the conversation just.
I do.
What'd you say?
Sorry, I remember I said, thank you so much, or thank you, but it was like an ecstatic thank you, that I appreciated the compliment. And then I said, how are you doing?
Yes, that's what it was. That's a key point. That just kept the conversation going. Like, she definitely opened up the gate and was like, walk in. You know what I'm saying? And so I walked in. You know what I'm saying? And at that point, the conversation just kind of rolled, and then it rolled over to us kind of eventually planning to have our first date, which is kind of crazy that you call it that, because again, neither of us was putting a lot of pressure on the relationship and on us being like a couple or anything. So it was honestly us just agreeing to hang out almost in a sense. That's how like kind of cool we got, like really that fast. I'm going to pause right there from that story, because from that point on, it just kind of, there's some other juicy tidbits, but we can kind of go back to back on that part. But I'll let you tell your beginnings of it up until that point, and then we can kind of pick it up from there, if that's cool.
That's fine with me. So, okay, let me get into it now. Okay, so first things first, I had been with my ex for 3 years prior to coming to college. And so obviously that was a long relationship for me. Long story short, I'm not going to get into that, so I don't know why we're here. But I ended up ending it. That was it. And it was right in the beginning of coming to college. I think it was like maybe August. You know what I'm saying? It was right before, or right at school starting. I remember that. And it wasn't because school was starting and I was going to school. Like, we were long distance, so it wasn't even any of that. Just saying, I'm not that kind of person. But anyway, I ended it for obvious reasons that needed to be happen. And so at this point, I was not looking for anything. I had just been in a relationship for 3 years, and I was very focused on my goals. So obviously I was coming to school. I had goals for school. I had things that I wanted to accomplish, including getting multiple degrees and minors and doing all kinds of stuff while I was in college. I had just obviously became the featured twirler at my university, which in the twirling world, if any twirlers are listening, that's a very big goal that a lot of us have, or even just making majorette lines at universities. But I specifically had the goal that I wanted to be a featured twirler in college, but also the right college. But anyway, that's a whole nother conversation for another day. So that was a very big goal or dream of mine that I had had, and I had succeeded. And so I came in, I was very excited, but I didn't know anybody. So I came to our university literally knowing no one. I had no friends, no family, no nothing. I knew about the school from another twirler that was in the twirling world. That was one of my coach's ages. So like she was even older than I was. But that's how I found out about the school. So I came there knowing nobody, had no friends, nothing. It was actually very lonely. But in this loneliness, and now also fresh off a breakup, I was not looking for anything, and I was living my best life. That's the most confident I had ever been. I was really just doing things for my own satisfaction and trying to reach my own goals. And I really just kind of found a whole new part of myself, especially stepping into like womanhood and adulthood, like fully stepping into that. And it was honestly just a blissful kind of period of my life. And of course, I learned a lot along the way and that kind of thing. But throughout the season, or actually, let me start at band camp. So this is a funny story for everybody. So I actually, and my best friend, Cassie, let me shout out my friends now, Cassie. I literally told her after the first day of band camp, or after our first like all groups rehearsal with the entire band, I was like, girl, and I'm sorry for all my other fellow band kids that we were in band with, y'all are great friends, but I was like, there's like no one cute in this band except for this one guy. I was like, there's this one guy and he's like really hot. And it was him. Yeah, so it was him. And yeah, it was hilarious because I was starkly remember this conversation, and she could tell you too. Like, we were on the phone, I was like, girl, he is hot. And she was like, well, are you gonna talk to him? And I was like, no. And she was like, what? I had a big rule against dating any band kids because I was like, first of all, I'm new. And then second of all, I was like, these people don't know me.
Hold up.
Hold on.
Real rule, you don't shit where you eat, all right? You don't shit.
That part though. I was like, eat. I don't want, if anything bad happens or if he's not interested, I was like, I just don't want things going around about me.
That's okay.
Like, it was a whole thing. I was like, I just don't want to get into that drama. Like, I have to be here for 4 years and I don't even have friends to back me up or anything. Like, if something happens or, whatever. And so, long story short, I was just like, yeah, I'm just gonna, admire from afar kind of thing, whatever. I was like, he's cute, whatever, moving on. So then we fast forward to the day he brings up all the time, which is when we went to that trip in Monticello.
I mean, come on.
Hold
that
on.
was my shot.
No, let me.
That was
let
my
me,
shot. It
it
was subtle.
Listen, Linda.
It was a shot.
Listen, Linda.
All right?
Let me get to my side so everyone can hear.
Okay.
Okay. So, I was actually with a friend of his who was also on drumline. Just friends, obviously, at this point. We were good friends, though. And we were obviously on our third quarter break. We went to get food, and I was with him because, again, he's like one of the only friends that I had made in my time here. Like, I had very few friends, and he was one that I made, though. So I was talking to him. I just went over to get food with him or whatever on the break, and they were friends. Like, Trey was friends with the guy that I was, like, just hanging around with, that I was friends with. I obviously hadn't met him until this day, but I knew that they were friends and they were on drumline together. So when he came over and said, hey, I really thought he was just being polite because I was there. And so that's why I was like, oh, hey, hi. And I kind of like backed away because I thought I was being respectful in the way of like, you came over here to talk to your friend and I just happened to be here. So like, you're just being nice that I'm here. But I thought I wasn't trying to be a bitch. Like, I'm just gonna straight up say, I wasn't trying to come off that way. Like, in my head, I was being kind by kind of just like excusing and, oh, hey, whatever, like y'all got it. Like, and kind of doing my own thing. Come to find out later, he was trying to talk to me, and it was his birthday and all this other stuff. But I didn't know him. I didn't know any of that.
And I will say,
anyway,
I think like less of me like really trying to talk to her, more of just me like that was me trying to get to know her. Like, cause at that point, like imagine being around somebody for what? Like at that point, that was later in the season.
It was like 3 months or so.
So we had been around each other, and all band is anybody who does band or anything like that related to it, bro. That is your whole summer pretty much. Like that. I mean, especially when you love it. Like you look forward to band camp, and then you go to band camp, and then it's all band. Like especially in college, and like class. What? Anyway, no, I'm just kidding.
Anyway.
But yeah, it's all band. So imagine being around somebody. Literally, I'm drumline, center snare. I'm always on the 50 or somewhere around if we're in a block. She's the freaking feature twirler. Always directly. And she's the only one. Like the one that we had.
It's
so
feature, not feature. No, I'm playing.
Exactly. And so, where are we always? I'm always here dead center on the 50 and she's always dead center on the 50 right in front of me. So for months, we're around each other.
Yeah.
You're friends with a mutual friend of mine in my section. And then like we never, and of course I had a lot of stuff going on at that time.
Yeah.
We probably never get into that, that's just my business.
Anyway.
But anyway, yeah, your story. I'm sorry.
So
I had to let people know that. Like that's how crazy, that moment kind of was. You know what I'm saying? That's why I have to go back to that point because it just kind of shows us how like it's a small world, bro. Yes. And then like the right moment is the right moment. All right.
Anyway, so I blew the right moment apparently.
That wasn't supposed to.
I know.
You missed the whole point of what I just said.
I'm playing. So anyway, I blew the right moment, but it's fine. We get to, I think it was another month, maybe a month and a half later after this. And that's when he slid into the DMs. And obviously I was like, okay, he's interested. Like, because obviously he said, I think you're very pretty. I said, okay, that's my in. So then that was also my way of being like, oh, okay, hey, how are you doing? Like, so then, long story short, we got to talking, got very cool very quickly, and I was like, or I think actually I might have brought up, I was like, hey, we should maybe hang out sometime or go do something or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then he was like, yeah, let's make it a date or something like that. But we kind of like officially made it a date at some point.
Yeah.
And so this is why I'm going to go ahead and start with our very first date. I'm not going to go too much into it, but it was perfect. We literally got Chick-fil-A, shout out Chick-fil-A, God's Chicken. No, I'm like, I had to, sorry. Shout out Chick-fil-A at our school. It was one at our school.
Dining dollars.
That part. And we literally got Chick-fil-A and like walked around our school. And our school is very pretty, especially previously from, pre-hurricane season.
Yeah.
So we had a couple of hurricanes hit through here. But anyway, school is very pretty. And then at some point, we actually sat out right outside the Fine Arts building and just talked for a long, long time. Now, I don't need to go into the first date because obviously it was a date. So we just getting to know each other. But I will say that I knew he was a keeper because on this date, I am very bold and I just straight up say I have high standards. I had high standards then, I still have high standards now. And I'm not talking about, oh, he has to look like this and do this and that. Like, I'm talking about, like, morally, like, my standards are high for a potential future partner. I literally looked to him and I said, hey, just letting you know, I think you're great now. I think this date is going really well. Obviously, you can tell me if you disagree, but in the future, if this gets serious, I'm looking for a potential future husband out of a partner. And if you're not looking for that, that's totally fine. Just let me know. We can still hang around, have fun, whatever, if you catch my drift. But really, if you're looking at this seriously, I'm looking for a potential future husband. So you need to let me know if you're with it or not. And it didn't scare him away. He said, I respect that. And I said, okay, we are in, guys. Like, I was mind blown, because usually, obviously, when you say it as a woman, it's like most guys are going to be scared away by that. And I mean, I didn't care though. Like I said, I was not looking for anything. This just kind of came along. And I was like, yeah, I'm interested, whatever. So, like, I was obviously interested, and I would love to have seen where it went. But if it didn't, I wasn't, like, heartbroken by the fact that, like, okay, we had one date or something, or we're really cool, but he's not looking for that. I'm going to move on from that, though. You know what I'm saying? We can be great friends, whatever, but I'm not going to pursue you in this way, because I'm not effing around. Like, I've got things to do. Like, and on top of being a teacher and in school, I was also working. Like, I paid all my own bills. I didn't live on campus. I lived off campus. So, like, I paid all my own bills. I worked. I was also still competing, like competitive baton twirling. That takes a lot of time, and I had less time as it is because I had to work to pay my bills. Like, and I was also full-time in school, so I literally just didn't have time to be messing around. Yeah. So that's my story. And then after that, though, he stayed around, and he respected it. He stayed around, and you know, here we are, 7 years later, married for almost a year, though. And yeah, that's our little kind of story of how we met, how we got into, you know, all this craziness. I love that.
Yes. I mean, it's always good too to go back and like tell that story. Yeah. Especially for us. Like I said, like there's a lot of details that go into it, and like I remember like the big points of, you know, things for me, you know. And I think a lot of those minor details too, as you get to know us more and we go on, will probably come out. I mean, we'll probably like talk about one thing, and then we'll use that as an example.
Oh, our engagement story is a whole nother story too for another episode.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get into all of that. And yeah, but
let's go ahead and get into the juicy part now. Yeah, I think we've talked enough about us. Probably have talked your ear off. Hopefully, if you're still listening, we still have your attention. But let's go ahead and get into the hashtag couple goals, because this is what I was really excited for today. So, that being said, what do you think about hashtag couple goals, babe? We've been called this before, by the way. A lot of people they've commented it or have told us, like, hey, I think y'all are like just hashtag couple goals. Like, so cute. And just like offhanded comments here and there. And honestly, like, it's cute. We love it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just kind of people showing their appreciation for maybe even how we interact with each other and whatnot. But let's get into it. Like, are we actually couple goals?
Well, of course, I mean, that's a hard question to answer when you're talking about yourself. I mean, you know how I kind of am. Like, I don't really view myself as like someone to look up to, or like someone to, you know what I'm saying, follow in any sense of a way. Now, of course, with that being said, that doesn't mean that I'm not confident I am a great man, and that I try to lead and stay on the right path and do the right thing. But that just means that I'm not kissing my own ass when it comes to certain stuff. So let's talk about what is couple goals. What do people mean when they say like a couple is couple goals? And I think that honestly means that they just admire your relationship and the interaction that you have with your partner. So I think as far as that, like, hell yeah, like anybody in a healthy, growing relationship that has had ups and downs and obstacles and ebb and flow, and people that have stuck by each other, you know, through thick and thin, and like have gotten to the point of, I mean, we're still very, very young. So to have been together for 7 years and gotten to the point where we're now married, going on a year in like a few months, like that, I think by itself speaks already to our interaction and how we are with each other in our actual story. So I think, that like in that sense, you know, we are couple goals. And I think that does make us a couple that, you know what I'm saying, you can look to, you know what I'm saying, for certain things. Not in the sense of like we're judging you, or like we think that the way that we got together is the perfect way that you should get with a partner, and there's only one way that you meet the person that you're supposed to be with. But that just kind of means that, you know, we'll give you the real. We're going to tell you whether you want to hear it or not. Be careful the questions that you ask. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're going to let you know that, like, there's, like, ebb and flow to it. And, like, there's going to be good moments, bad times. But, like, it's all just about staying together and continuing to get to know each other as you grow individually, but also as you grow together as a couple. And I think, you know, you kind of get to that point where, like, you can model after us. Like, we can tell you a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I think in that sense, like, I think we are couple goals. What do you think?
I feel like also too, couple goals is very, like, a lot of people just kind of throw it out there, but really there's almost, I don't say a pressure to it, because like I don't feel a pressure. We're who we are. We do what we want, you know what I mean? But I think a lot of people put a lot of pressure on couple goals sometimes, especially like some of the younger generations, like teenagers even right now, like they want that couple goals, or even young adults, especially in that college age, is like, you know, well, I want to be couple goals and I want to have the couple goals. But what really is it? You know what I mean? That's where I want to get into actually a little bit, is because it's like, couple goals to me is like, well, what do you want out of a couple? Because what someone else wants and what their ideal situation or couple is could not be at all what you want it to be. You know what I mean? Like, like our relationship and like you and I being great for each other, like we're not great for other people in that kind of relationship. You know what I'm saying? And it's not because I'm talking about like we don't like other people. I literally mean like, it's just how I am in a relationship or what I'm looking for could, like, for somebody else could be just toxic. You know what I mean? Like, they're like, I don't want that at all and whatever. So that kind of just being said, I think that we do have some strengths, though, overall, that a lot of people, I think, I don't want to say admire, but I mean, that's kind of the word that other people have used, is like, I'd really admire, even older generations have told us, like, they really love how well we communicate. Like, that's, I think, one of our biggest strengths is our communication. And if we have a problem, or if we just, you know, even if it's something as like, hey, I don't like the way you said that, or your tone, or, you know, hey, I need this to be done, like, we're just not afraid to communicate. And a lot of people, even, again, older couples as well, from all the way from, you know, high school, lovey-dovey kind of first love couples, all the way to older senior citizen age, very wise and mature couples, they just see a very good communication between us that some couples either, I feel like, haven't established all the way, or sometimes lose over the years. And that's something that I've always thought was really good. I think because I'm also very black and white, which, keep watching our podcast, you'll definitely see. And then Trey also being very grayscaled. And we always joke about that because I'm very yes and no, very blunt. Like, if I have an opinion on something and it's a yes or a no, I'm going to tell you exactly why it's a yes or a no too, and I stand by it usually for the most part. So, but he also, and has helped me out actually in kind of seeing this, but he sees the grayscale. So he sees all the in-betweens and all the arounds it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so he sees all the sides of something and why it could be this and that. And so that has actually worked out very well for us in our communication, just over the years, because I feel like having kind of both, not extreme sides, because we're not that extreme on our ends, but, you know, kind of sides or whatever of the equation, our communication, it just fits in very well, and how we communicate. But that being said, I mean, we're really going to talk about real talk, real laughs, and real life, right? Okay, so that being said, sometimes we don't always understand where each other's coming from as well. Right. You know what I mean? So, like, and I'll be the first to say, like, sometimes I just, it could cause an argument or something. I'm like, I don't understand why you know, blah, blah, blah. And, like, I just kind of, I come at something very passionately. And sometimes that can also be taken in a bad way as well. And, you know, arguments or whatever. He might not see where I'm coming from on something. And, like, well, how can you be so gung-ho about this? And I'm like, well, because of this. Like, but so that can cause little heated kind of arguments here and there. But at the same time, though, in the end, like, our love for each other, and again, our very, very good communication, even if it means taking a break and coming back to something, always gets us back to where we are, and, you know, keeps us on the same page. And
right, and I think a lot of it too, it goes back to, like, the main thing is, like, communication, but it's communicating in a sense to understand. I think that's like the biggest thing that you said and that you pointed out in your definition of couple goals. Like, to get to that point, you have to be willing to communicate about certain things and certain topics, especially as they come up, as you're getting to know each other. Like, before we got to the part of engagement, you know, we were together, what, 4 or 5 years, 3, 4?
4, I think.
4.
Yeah.
Around before we even got
or
engaged.
5. Actually, I think it's 5.
Through that whole process, when things come up, when there are moments come up, or you don't agree with something, or they do something that kind of bothers you, whether it's big, small, you know, it's not being afraid to express that in a certain sense, especially if that could be a deal breaker for your relationship, or if that's something that you've noticed. Well, like me, I'm very much premeditated, so I could notice something, but I'm not gonna off the first rip, because again, like it's stupid to think that how you feel about something and how you think about something is the cut and dry. Like, that's the end all be all of every situation. No, that's not the case. Everybody doesn't think or perceive a situation the same way you do. So of course, like, I'm going to observe this over X amount of time, you know what I'm saying, and see if it's something that comes up a lot, or if it was just one moment. And then if I do notice it, then I'm like, it's how I present it to my partner, in a sense, like, hey, I noticed that sometimes you tend to do this, and, like, I'm not trying to change you, in a sense, but, and it's kind of hard to even use this as an example too, because it does sound like more of like a controlling type of thing, but it's not that at all. It's just like when you get into an argument or you have a disagreement about something, it's about communicating to understand where you lost each other at, and where you disagreed at, and where do we go from here to align it, and how do we fix that as we move forward.
And can I add into this too, just kind of a funny part? We've literally had arguments about things that we were on the same side of the argument. Like,
right.
At the very end of this argument, and it was, the most heated arguments, we come around and we're like, that's exactly what I'm saying. Well, that's what I'm saying. And I'm like, so we agree. Like, and we get to that, but we've had a couple, not like a ton, but we've had a couple that were like, we're literally saying the same thing, just differently, and we thought we were saying the opposite things to each other. It was actually hilarious.
Yeah, and it's just like one of those things too, that sometimes like you listen, and then other times you listen to understand. Like, I think listening to understand takes a deeper communication and more of paying attention. You know what I'm saying?
Listening to react.
React. That's what I was. I think those are two different ways of listening. And I think when you get into those dumb arguments like that, it's like you're listening to respond. You're not really listening to understand. Because if you were, then you would have realized, okay, you just said the same thing I said. It just sounded different. You know what I'm saying? You just expressed it differently than I did. And again, so it's about communicating and understanding each other. And I think the more that you do that, no matter how uncomfortable it is, and there's also another side to it too, like being open to understanding and communicating about certain things, like knowing that this is somebody I care about, this is somebody I love. So coming from them is not judgmental, it's not controlling. In some cases, some people got some stuff going on. We're gonna talk about that at a later date. Some people can be different. But if you have a good, solid relationship, and this is not, there's not any abuse going on, then this type of communication shouldn't feel like an attack. It should feel like someone who's really trying to understand you and trying to please you. They want to make you happy. You want to make your partner happy. And to do that, you must understand and communicate with each other.
And I will say, just to kind of wrap up this little segment of couple goals, I think that's why we've gotten some of the kind of comments that we have of, man, like I really liked how you guys did that, or couple goals, you know what I'm saying? Like, literally we'll have just people kind of throw it out there, like, oh, I just love you guys, or I love you guys together. But I think the reason that we do is because, again, our communication is so open and honest, and obviously, like, we love each other, so I think how we interact, I think that kind of comes across, that obviously we do have love for each other, but really it's just how we handle things, and our communication is one of those reasons that we kind of get that comment a lot. But again, all I'm going to say too is, what is couple goals to you? I actually want to know. Can you guys comment or DM and let us know what you think your couple goals is? Like, what's that definition to you? What makes you look at a couple and be like, oh, couple goals, like, oh, I want to be them, or I would love to hear their story. You know what I'm saying? I'm actually curious, because what I think is like a couple goals and what he thinks could be totally different than what y'all think. So let us know in the comments or DM us. All right, guys, thank you so much for being with us today and getting through this episode. I know we probably talked your ears off, but we're going to go ahead and wrap it up for episode 1. But first and foremost, I just wanted to say the reason we're really doing this podcast is because we really wanted to talk about real love, real life, and real relationships. I'm talking all the way from single and dating, all the way through long-term, long-distance relationships, engagement, and even marriage. We want to talk about all of it. We want to cover all of it.
Also, if you have topics, segment ideas that we can maybe use, or that you want to see us incorporate in some of our other episodes, feel free to comment on any of our posts or just DM the page directly. We would love to hear from you. And also, too, if you did like this episode, please feel free to give us some support. We would love to have your follow on Instagram, TikTok. We are at Let Me Holla at You.podcast. We are also on YouTube. Give us a subscribe, thumbs up. That would be wonderful. And again, don't forget to subscribe wherever you are listening or watching to this podcast. Thank you so much for being here today, and we'll catch you next time on Let Me Holla at You.